Caught my cheating wife at a secret hotel. My wife was surprised when I gave her divorce papers at the hotel lobby. A warm sun hung high in the afternoon sky, its golden rays bathing the streets in light. Yet, despite the brightness outside, there was a storm brewing within me, a dark cloud of doubt and suspicion that had been growing for weeks. My name is Victor, and I've been married to Sarah for 5 years. Our relationship, once full of passion and dreams, had taken a sharp turn for the worse. The late-night phone calls, secretive texts, and sudden unexplained absences, all signs pointed to something I never thought I would have to face. I had suspected Sarah of cheating for a while, but I had no solid proof. Her excuses seemed plausible at first: long meetings at work, out-of-town conferences, or visiting old friends. But recently, her behavior had become more erratic. The distance between us grew, the intimacy we once shared felt like a distant memory, and I found myself unable to ignore the gnawing feeling in my gut. It was one Friday afternoon when I received an anonymous text message. It read, "You want to know where Sarah really goes? Check out the Blue Orchid Hotel, room 307, tomorrow at noon." My heart raced. Who could have sent this? Was it a cruel joke or the cold, hard truth I'd been fearing? Either way, I couldn't let it go. I needed to know. The following morning, I found myself standing outside the Blue Orchid Hotel. Its sleek, modern design was a sharp contrast to the grimy streets surrounding it, but my thoughts were too clouded to appreciate the aesthetics. I hesitated for a moment, my hand trembling as I reached for the door. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions: fear, anger, betrayal, and a shred of hope that perhaps, just maybe, this was all a misunderstanding. As I stepped into the hotel lobby, the sterile, air-conditioned air hit me. My eyes scanned the polished marble floors, and I spotted the elevator in the distance. I could hear the faint chime of its arrival. I took a deep breath and forced myself to move forward, each step heavier than the last. Room 307. The number echoed in my mind like a ticking clock, counting down to the moment of truth. The elevator doors slid open, and I stepped inside, my fingers shaking as I pressed the button for the 3rd floor. The ride was short, but it felt like an eternity. My heart was pounding in my chest, my stomach churned with nervous anticipation. When the doors opened, I stepped into the quiet hallway, my footsteps muffled by the thick carpet beneath me. As I approached room 307, I could hear faint voices from within. My blood ran cold. There was no turning back now. I reached for the doorknob, but it was locked. A quick glance around revealed a service cart nearby, and I grabbed a set of housekeeping keys from it. With a quiet click, the door unlocked. What I saw next froze me in place. There, in the dim light of the hotel room, was Sarah, my wife, wrapped in the arms of another man. They were laughing softly, completely unaware of my presence. The world seemed to slow down around me, my vision narrowing as I stared at the betrayal unfolding before me. Every word, every kiss, every stolen glance between them stabbed at my heart like 1,000 daggers. I took a step back, the reality of what I was seeing sinking in. The rage boiled within me, but I fought to keep it under control. I had prepared for this moment, rehearsed what I would do if my suspicions were confirmed. I wasn't here to confront her, to scream or cry or make a scene. I had already made up my mind about what came next. I stepped back into the hallway, pulling out the folder I had brought with me. Inside were the divorce papers I had drawn up weeks ago, a precaution I had hoped I would never need. But now, standing in that hotel lobby, the weight of those papers in my hands felt like the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. I returned to the lobby, where I sat in one of the plush chairs, waiting. The minutes dragged on, each second filled with the deafening silence of my own thoughts. I replayed every memory of our relationship, every promise we had made, every moment we had shared. How had we come to this? How had the love we once had turned into something so broken? Suddenly, the elevator doors chimed, and out stepped Sarah and her lover, arm in arm, smiling as though they had no care in the world. Her laughter cut through me like a blade, but I remained calm. As they approached, I stood up, locking eyes with her. The color drained from her face, her smile vanishing in an instant. "Victor, what are you doing here?" she stammered, pulling away from the man beside her. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I handed her the envelope containing the divorce papers. Her hands shook as she took it, her eyes wide with shock. "You've been caught, Sarah," I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "I know everything." Her eyes filled with panic, darting between me and the man beside her, who looked equally stunned. This isn't what it looks like," she began, her voice faltering as she tried to explain, but I held up my hand to stop her. "Save it," I said quietly. "It's over." The man beside her, realizing the gravity of the situation, quickly excused himself and disappeared into the elevator, leaving Sarah alone with me. She stood there, clutching the divorce papers, her face pale and her eyes welling up with tears. "Victor, please, let me explain," she pleaded, her voice breaking. But I had heard enough. I turned away, walking out of the hotel lobby, leaving her standing there, broken and defeated. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The love we once shared had been replaced with betrayal and lies, and there was no going back. As I stepped out into the street, the weight of the moment hit me. The pain was overwhelming, but there was also a strange sense of relief. I had faced the truth, no matter how ugly it was, and now, I could finally move on. But little did I know, this was only the beginning. The secrets Sarah had been hiding ran deeper than I ever imagined, and the events that would unfold in the coming days would shake me to my core. The storm was far from over, and I was about to be caught in the eye of it. The days following the encounter at the hotel were a blur. The image of Sarah standing in that hotel lobby, stunned and broken, haunted my every thought. I tried to push it away, but it lingered, a constant reminder of the life we had once shared and the betrayal that had shattered it. I had filed the divorce papers, cut off all contact with her, and packed up the last of my belongings from the house we had once called home. Yet, even as I moved forward, there was a strange feeling gnawing at me, a sense that there was more to the story. Sarah had begged me to listen, to let her explain. But I hadn't cared for her excuses at the time. Now, as the initial anger subsided, I wondered if I had